Hi, this is Debbie with AncestryandTravels.com. Today we're going to go ahead and do some more research in family search. Today we're going to go into search catalog. And we're going to go into the state of Ohio. We're going to go look at some wills today. Once you click in that Ohio, you want to come down to United States, Ohio, because that's where it gets you into the catalog. Once you get into the catalog, you'll see that there's a ton of records for the state of Ohio. So we're going to drill it down and go into the county of Knox County, Ohio. You'll see there's a little bit less records in just one county than there is within the whole state. I know already that this probate records index doesn't do me good. I believe it's a book. So we're going to go ahead and go into the probate records themselves. So we're going to go into here and we're going to click into the probate records of Ohio. So it's the whole state of Ohio. So what I want to do, rather than put, you can put a name, a first and last name in here, but if they're not indexed correctly, you're not going to necessarily come up with the person you're looking for. So I always like to go through and browse through all the records, all the probates for the different counties. So we're going to go into Knox County, Ohio, and just you'll go down and you're saying, okay, I want to look for index. Index is 1808 to 1928. Volume 1 is only Q through Z. That's not going to do us any good if we're going to try to go into C. McKee. So because I've been in these records before, just to kind of show you that sometimes they don't label everything correctly. So you're going to want to go in and you're going to want to look around. I happen to know for a fact that this one right here, Administrative Bonds and Letters 1808 to 1928, Volume 1, A through P, is actually the index for the wills that are, or for the inventory that's there. So what you want to do, this is for the wills, I believe. You'll go ahead and click on that index. And it's really the index for everything because it's got everything from wills up to the estate records. There's lots of different categories. I'll show you that right now. I'm going to go because McKee, this is up to P. McKee is going to be pretty far towards the end. So we're going to go ahead and go into farther in. Pretty good guess here, right? This is MG. I'm looking for MCK. Now, another thing to note is that if you're looking for a name that starts with MC, I've learned this from my wild, crazy experiences, is that the MCs, the McKees, the MC names are going to start either at the beginning of the index or they're going to be at the very end of the index. And sometimes you'll get to the end of they're at the beginning of it, it'll tell you to go somewhere after the M's to find the rest of the MCs because they didn't have enough room. So you just kind of have to really look around and figure out and see what's going on. Today, I think we will go in. Oh, I want to show you this up here too. At the top of the index, there's different categories. Wills. So look at all these ones that don't have wills. All these people have died intestate, my great-grandfather being one of them. They'll show deeds, appointments for the executors, the bonds for the executors, election of the widow if she decides she doesn't want to be the executor, because sometimes they'll name their wife the executor and she says, I don't want to do that. The inventories of what they have in the estate, if they owe anybody money, sale of property to settle that money that they might owe someone. There's several different settlements. Most of the time you'll only have one settlement, but there are times when like in these right here, you'll see that they have a final settlement. Not all of them will have a final settlement. Sometimes they'll just have the one settlement. So it just depends on how much paperwork you're going to find on them. I'm going to go ahead and go into James McKee right here. He's in book number 141, and his estate number is 1545. So we're going to go back here to Knox. We're going to go down to wills, and we're going to try to find box 141, which right here we have box 141 through 1550, and we're looking for 1545. So we're going to go into this will box. We know he's going to be somewhere close to the end. So let's go to let's see, 1775. Okay. Some of the times they'll have this information right here. Other times they will not. So it just depends. And when they don't, it's really a bummer, because sometimes they'll have it up in here somewhere in the paperwork, but sometimes you just kind of have to guess. So it's not always a lot of fun when you're looking through these films to find papers that you want. Okay, so we're too far. We're at 1549. We're going to go, let's try 1760 and see what we find there. Okay, 1548, so we're getting closer. 1750, maybe. 1547, so still not enough. 1730, let's try that. Oh, there you go. 1545. Now, this is not necessarily the beginning of the will, so what you'll want to do is you'll want to scroll back. There's the back button over here. You're not going to see the whole thing because I have to push it and it's not within your view. Okay, right here it says Last Will and Testament of James McKee. Now you'll know for sure, because if you go back one more, it'll be box 1544. So just make sure that you get the first page of the will. You can download these to your computer. It's going to give you either open it up or save it. If you click OK to save it, it's going to save it in your downloads, in your computer files. Everybody has the little file, empty file looking, what is it, a tan colored file. You want to go ahead and go on there and go into downloads, and that's where you're going to find any records that you're downloading into there. So let's go ahead and go to the first page. It looks like it's a will. Okay, so in the name of the benevolent Father, let's see, let's try that again. In the name of the benevolent Father of all, I, James McKee of Clay Township, Knox County, Ohio, do make and publish this my last will and testament. And then he says that he gives to his beloved wife, Nancy McKee, a house and a lot in Martinsburg in Clay Township. Part of it. They have townships and then they have little boroughs that go with those townships back in these days. So Martinsburg was someplace within Clay. Maybe it did say Clay, yeah, Clay Township in Martinsburg, so it's a borough. And he says she can have the said house and lot to her natural lifetime at her decease, to fall back to the hands of my executors and be part of my estate, that being in lieu to my wife's house in my real estate. I also give my said wife the 1/3 of all my personal estate above. So he's going to give her all of that. If we go down here a little bit farther, let's see. I give and devise to my sons, Charles McKee, George McKee, Moses McKee and their heirs, and of Thomas as one heir, and Eleanor Wilson, my daughter, the sum of $500 each after the above sums of money are paid. So, and then he gives more things to his children. Now, notice it says, and the heirs of Thomas. Okay. He had a son, Thomas, who died before he did. So, we've got James McKee, who had a son Thomas. Now, I've happened to see the will of Thomas, and his brother, James McKee, was his executor. I'm pretty sure that these McKees were the ones that came over from, they were cousins of my McKee line that came over from Coshocton County, a neighboring county, into Knox County. But it goes ahead and tells you the name of the children, what he's going to give to them. He names his son Charles, the executor of his estate. And then he finishes signing it here in 1885, the 5th day of March in the year 1885, signed and acknowledged by James McKee, his last will and testament. So then his son is going to be the executor, and he's going to come in and figure out what they're doing. Now notice it says volume H, page 370. So there's going to be some more information on that. So you're going to want to write that down so that you can go in and look at that other information that's available. There's several different things where they attest to the fact that the probate and that they're going to go ahead and take care of the will. Shows right here that Charles, the son, lives in Bladensburg, as does his son George McKee. There's a, I don't know if that's a Danny McKee or Davy McKee in Martinsburg. Ella Wilson, Moses McKee. So these would all be grandchildren of, see, this is the daughter, but this is her children that are, this is Thomas McKee's children right here, if I can see it well enough. Anyway, and the handwriting, as you can see, sometimes can be pretty iffy to read, but the more you read it, the easier it is to get to read it, but it's not always easy. Now, you can always go back into that record and look at the estate records, go in and look and see what kind of things that he had in his estate that they sold off. Another interesting thing is to go in and see who bought what parts of his property so that you can find more family in there as well. A lot of times that he gave the daughter's name of Wilson, there'll probably be a Wilson, a man with the first, with a first name with the last name Wilson. So then you can get the husband's name of the daughter so that you have a little bit more to go on to, so you've got some more extended family to look for. But basically this is what you do to go in to find a will. You can go back in there, and like I say, there's lots of different things. You've got inventories, settlements. All those are going to, if they have that information in the index, it's going to tell you that it's in the index. There's journals of what went on in the courts during the settlements, the bonds of the executors, miscellaneous records. Sometimes you can find some interesting things in there. I'm not sure necessarily if they have. These are miscellaneous claims of administration, miscellaneous records, probate records. This could very well be some chancery reports. I don't know. I haven't really gone into them all that deeply. But there's settlements. There's a lot of different things that you can get in there and see on the estate. And honestly, the more you can find about their estate, you'll learn more of the family dynamics and see what kind of land they had, how much land they had. There'll be deeds that'll go through there. A lot of different interesting things that you can find lots of interesting things on. Like I say, my grandfather died intestate, so he just had a chancery report. That's where the family went in, and they sued each other for what they felt was their part of the estate. I had a grandson, Robert McKee, whose father died when he was a baby, that went in and sued the family, and so I have like a 10-page document of that court, one of the court proceedings. So there's a lot of things you can find in these probate documents and court documents that will fill in a lot of the blanks for your family history and give you some more stories. In the 10-page document that I have, my Uncle Andrew's telling my Grandpa Charles that he should give Robert, the grandson, $200 while he can really use it when he's young. And Grandpa tells him to keep his nose out of his business. This is overheard by one of the witnesses that comes to the court. He tells of hearing them talking about it. There's questioning whether Robert had a promissory note that he said Grandpa had given him. The family didn't think that Grandpa gave him a promissory note. I'm sure it was all talked about in the family, and there was disputes as to whether Grandpa would have done that. But it's just really interesting to see the fighting between the family. The youngest daughter, Eliza, fought to have them sell 10 acres of land to pay for her taxes on her property because she didn't want to come up with the money. And she had a husband. I don't know why her husband, George Barr, didn't come up with that, but he didn't. And so she was fighting the family to sell off a lot of 10 acres so that she could have the money to pay her taxes. So it's pretty fun. You learn a lot of things about your family by going through their records. So until next time, have fun looking up wills and finding more things out about your family. Have a good day.